Good evening. This is CTV News for Wednesday, July 6th. I'm Karen Adams.
And I'm Denise Douglas. So glad you could join us this evening. Well, adults who allow minors to drink alcohol on their property can now be held responsible in civil court for injuries caused by drunken guests.
The decision made by Maryland's highest court on Tuesday. Rochelle Metzger is here to tell us more about the ruling and what it means moving forward.
This decision effectively removes part of a state law that had protected adults from being held liable in such cases. The unanimous ruling by the Court of Appeals means parents or anyone of age will be civilly liable if they buy alcohol or allow minors to consume it at their home, and then something happens as a result. The High Court ruled in 2 lawsuits brought by victims of drunk driving incidents against adults who hosted parties that led to the intoxication of an underage guest. Attorney Tim Maloney represents Nancy Dankos, who brought one of the lawsuits after her 17-year-old son was killed in a crash while getting a ride home from a party where he and others were drinking. He says the appeals decision is significant.
It brings Maryland into the modern era, and hopefully it will have a deterrent effect on parents who like to host teen parties. We've seen a lot of these parties, the so-called cool parents who want to have their children's friends over and serve them alcohol, and then someone goes out and gets in a serious accident. This will hold those parents accountable and liable. We're not talking about a case where the teenagers would sneak alcohol into a house or where the parent was just negligent and didn't observe it. We're talking about a case where a parent is well aware that their home is being used for an alcohol party, either by
The Court of Appeals opinion returns the 2 lawsuits, including the Danko case, back to circuit courts for new proceedings. So, ladies, the key words here are knowingly and willfully. The ruling from Maryland's High Court holds that adults should be responsible for the actions of underage drinkers.
Absolutely.
Because those under 21 aren't competent to handle the potentially dangerous effects of alcohol.
Absolutely.
Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Rochelle. And did you know that July is Vehicle Theft Prevention Month? Here in Maryland, the numbers are down over the past few years. Still, according to police, a car is stolen in Maryland every 39 minutes. Byron Scott has our story.
Here are the numbers. In Maryland, more than 13,000 cars were stolen in 2014. That's the last year figures are available from state police. According to the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, nearly half of all of the vehicles that are stolen are due in part to drivers who make things easier for the thieves. Things like leaving keys in the car, not closing or locking windows or doors, not parking in well-lit areas, or leaving items inside the car.
And I thought I had locked it, but I didn't.
Cassandra Smith didn't lock the doors to her SUV, and her navigation system was stolen.
I woke up in the middle of the night because I heard something, and I didn't know what it was, and then I looked outside, my car door was open. So whoever stole it, they didn't close the door, because I guess they were afraid to make the noise. So then I called my husband, and then when he got up and he went down there and he said, "They got you."
According to Maryland State Police, 2/3 of all auto thefts are of older cars. Investigators say people are less apt to take precautions against theft. Older ignitions tend to wear out and are easier to defeat. 95% of stolen cars use no anti-theft device. Topping the list of older cars being targeted by thieves, the 2002 Dodge Caravan, the 1997 Honda Accord, and among the newer models, the 2011 Toyota Camry. The good news is the number of auto thefts in Maryland has fallen over the past few years. The bad news is that July is one of the 2 busiest months of the year for auto thefts, the other being August. In Largo, Byron Scott, CTV News.
On the medical front, the National Cancer Institute launches the largest study ever of breast cancer in African American women. The research will investigate how genetic and biological factors contribute to disease risk and identify factors that may underlie breast cancer disparities.
African American women usually suffer from a heavier burden of breast cancer. They are diagnosed less often. They die more often from the disease compared to white women. And so there are a number of different factors that are associated with the disparity. This includes social factors such as lack of access to health care, and also biological factors such as genetics.
As an African American survivor, we understand that our risk of survival is less than that for white women. So now we have some information and findings that will give us some answers to why, and we'll be able to better understand how to do prevention, treatment, and increase survival. So it's important to me, especially as a mother of a 9-year-old daughter. So I want her future to be different.
NCI is part of the National Institutes of Health.
President Obama has once again revised his plan to withdraw military personnel from Afghanistan. Obama says the U.S. will leave 8,400 troops in the country through the end of his presidency. Obama had planned to reduce troop levels to 5,500 by early next year, but he says hopes for ending the war have not worked as planned. We spoke with Bowie State Government professor Dr. William Lewis. He says the president made the right decision.
The basis of the recent terrorist acts in places like France, Belgium, and Bangladesh. The president has to ensure that the United States is well secured, as well as places like Afghanistan, where you have the Taliban. The Taliban is still a threat to that state.
There are currently just under 10,000 U.S. forces in Afghanistan.
Well, Representative Donna Edwards wants to tighten loopholes in gun laws to protect victims of domestic violence. On the House floor yesterday, Edwards says it is important to strengthen background checks for gun purchases to help reduce fatalities from domestic violence. She went on to say that lax gun laws make it too easy for abusers to acquire a firearm, putting victims at risk.
Everytown USA analysis of every mass shooting between 2009 and 2015 found that 57% were committed by intimate partners or families of victims. Research shows that common sense gun laws have a marked effect on improving women's safety from gun violence. In states that require background checks for all handgun sales, 46% fewer women are murdered with a gun by an intimate partner. And state laws ensuring that convicted abusers or those subject to domestic violence restraining orders are separated from their firearms are also associated with reductions in gun violence against women.
And if you'd like to listen to the Congresswoman's full statement, you can check out her website. Well, you are watching CTV News. I'm Denise Douglas.
And I'm Karen Adams.